Alert 6 starts now.
Thank you for joining us on our First Alert 6 streaming on this Wednesday. I'm Erin Hartley, joined by meteorologist Jarrett Lansford and Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord. Talking about a cold start to our Wednesday. A couple of flurries in the metro, too.
Yeah, got some flurries in spots, got a little bit of freezing drizzle in others. Best way to look at it, and Jarrett's going to touch on it too, if the road looks damp, take a little extra caution. The amounts of moisture, though, are very, very minimal. We're talking 100th, maybe 200ths of an inch. It's not a big amount of liquid to try to freeze up. But you can see there's a little sheen on some roads this morning. We're at 29. You'll want the heavy gears. We're going to be a lot like yesterday. We're not going to move much with our numbers today. So what you see is what you get. Not much showing up on the radar right now. We have had little pockets of this, what looks like snow shower activity or flurries. In some instances, it is freezing drizzle and a little mist in the air. So that's what we're paying attention to this morning. Got all this low-level moisture in place, and it doesn't really erode until later on this afternoon. So we're going to stay locked in the clouds the vast majority of the day today. Batch of a little more organized snow shower activity down to the southwest is moving away. So you go drop the kids off. We're about 28 by 7, 8 o'clock. We're about 30 degrees by 9. Current temps, we're about 29 to 30 degrees over much of the area. So that's what we get as we start off the day today and as kids are heading off to school. Overall, that's the way things are looking. So outside the metro, a little bit colder on the Iowa side and a little bit warmer on the Nebraska side. But everybody with the wind chills likely to be in the 20s today as the wind does pick up just a little bit. So let's talk about the clouds that are out there. 9 o'clock, we're looking at just a few little pockets of that moisture drifting from north to south still. I think there's potential for that by lunch. And then into the afternoon, notice the clouds breaking up to the northwest. That's a little of the moisture coming out of the air, 34 degrees by 3 o'clock. And then as we head towards 5 and eventually 6, we get a little clearing to end the day. Unfortunately, it's too little too late. So you might get a nice view of the sunset, but it's not going to help warm us up at all. By 10 o'clock, we're falling off into the 20s. And then overnight tonight, we fall through the 20s. To start off tomorrow morning, mostly 20s and a few 30s. And rebound nicely tomorrow, 56 degrees for the high. And even Friday started to trend up a little bit, going 49 there. Abundant sunshine. And that is the really nice weather that people are looking forward to.
And it stays that way for a little bit. We're talking about also some really great temperatures for early February.
Yeah, it's going to last for a while, even into the weekend. A lot of good 40s and 50s. Average highs mid-30s this time of year. And even though the wind will try to be a little bit annoying, I don't see it being a huge disruptor to the day. Notice we make our way through 9, 10, 11 o'clock and into the early afternoon tomorrow. We're talking northwest wind gusts 25 to 30 miles per hour on Thursday. By Friday, we could have some gusts 25 to about 30 miles per hour as well. So watch for that just being a little pesky, but not all that troublesome. And then Saturday, it flips. It'll be out of the south. And we should have some gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour. But all these days equal some very nice weather, at least 10 degrees above average, and the low end of things. Tomorrow's nearly 20 degrees above average. You can see we go to 52 on Sunday, 60 on Monday. I think that has the best potential to top 60. Got to pay attention, too. The record high is 63 on that day, so it's something we could get really close to. Make that graphic and keep an eye on that as we head into the early part of next week. But with all that and a little round of applause.
Sorry, it's just instinct when I hear 60 in February. I just automatically start clapping.
That looks more like a forecast we'd see in April.
I know. And this is the coldest day we're going to have for at least the next 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've been really lucky.
Yeah.
I don't know what we did to deserve it.
We'll see how the second half of the month goes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll get an update about the traffic conditions now. You've been following this crash for us this morning.
Yeah, 132nd and Harrison, and all directions have had impacts as a result of this. Now, last time we checked in here about 10 minutes ago, we did have a tow truck on the scene. So still kind of an evolving situation with this. And I want to show you what we have here as far as the maps go with the slowdowns. Then we could check in. We do have, I believe, a live shot of this, too, that we can look at in just a moment. But there's the delays, and you can see how westbound is slowed all the way back to Giles. So you've got quite the delays there. Eastbound not doing a whole lot better, and we've had some delays on 132nd as well. So you need to leave a little extra caution if you are heading into this area. If we have that live shot, we could take a look. Emergency crews still on hand. Looks like we may have seen that tow truck take off, but we do have some emergency crews still working that scene, and that school bus you see turning onto 132nd. So it's right there at the corner of the intersection where we have those emergency crews still on hand. So we'll continue to track this situation. You're going to want to use some caution as you're heading through there, and we will first alert you when that does fully clear this morning. But that's kind of where we've seen the biggest impacts. Now, you kind of notice that sheen that's on the shot there. That's something else you need to watch for, and we're going to talk about how that could impact us in some areas coming up.
Okay, Jared, thank you very much. Back to news now. The search continuing for a body or two bodies of a Stromsburg, Nebraska couple. Police believing Hannah Neville and Roberto Tanner are likely dead. Tanner's half-brother, Sterling James, has now been booked for first-degree murder in this case. His wife, Sadie, is accused of helping. Deputies have searched the remote area of Saunders County on Tuesday. Records show Tanner lived in that area.
We have a lot of different areas and different areas of interest other than just here. This is just the first one that we started with. We're relying on witness statements, we're relying on tips, we're relying on digital evidence. I won't be confident until we find them.
Lincoln police say they're trying to figure out a motive, find the weapon used, and determine where the alleged murder actually happened. Well, debate continuing over an abortion at the Nebraska legislature. Senator Tanya Storer introducing LB 669. Now, if it passes, this would require abortion providers to screen patients for signs of coercion, abuse, or trafficking before moving forward with a procedure. If a patient says they were pressured into seeking an abortion, the providers would have to give them information about resources.
There's been a question about whether or not this is sort of isolating the abortion clinics or targeting an abortion clinic. It's not targeting an abortion clinic. It is identifying the likely probable place that a human trafficker abusing a woman is going to take her if and when she's pregnant, because she is not valuable to a human trafficker pregnant. This is common sense.
Omaha Senator Megan Hunt testified against the bill, saying its language falls short protecting women from abusers.
That there is nothing in the bill that clarifies that the person doing the trafficking, the person responsible for the abuse, isn't in that hospital room with this woman at the time of this exam.
Senator Conrad,
well, there's 47 minutes of debate remaining when discussion about the bill continues on the Unicam floor later on today. Now over here at the safety desk with Maria Cade, excess levels of cholesterol inside the body can have a big impact on your heart. So Maria has some really good tips to how to kind of lower some of those levels.
Yeah, it's kind of something a lot of people don't realize, but a lot of adults are affected. Nearly 25 million here in America have those high cholesterol levels, but they don't often come with symptoms, so it can be pretty hard to identify them. So the only way that you can really know your numbers is by getting them tested. So to lower those levels, experts say you can eat a heart-healthy diet that's low in saturated fats. You also want to exercise, so losing weight and quitting smoking, that can all help too. Medication, though, is one other option.
It's not just lowering the LDL number that's important. It goes beyond that. It's also that medications can stabilize plaque and slow the progression.
Now, those medications can come in both a pill or an injectable form, but of course, as with anything, you want to talk to your doctor before you consider anything.
Okay, Maria, thank you. There's also a new recall to First Lotus, too.
Yeah, it's something from Costco, some pretty popular bakery items. There were actually ingredients put into these that aren't supposed to be in them. So they're recalling the caramel-filled mini beignets because they were accidentally made with chocolate hazelnut instead of that caramel. So, of course, that could be a really big risk to anybody who has a hazelnut or a tree nut allergy. The beignets were sold between January 16th and January 20th. As with any recall, if you think you have them and you want to bring them back, you can bring them back to the store where you got them to get a full refund.
Okay, good to know. Maria, thank you. We're back after this. All right, back here at the Weather Center, time now 7:14. We've been just experiencing some really unusually great weather for early February. Talk about 60s in our 10-day forecast.
Yeah, it's going to be on the way here very, very shortly, which is going to be phenomenal. Today's probably the coldest day we're going to have for quite some time. So enjoy what is on the way. The clouds are locked in place right now. Chilly air, light, wintry mix possible this morning. Big warm up tomorrow into the 50s, but there's even better weather than that on the way for next week. So the first alert radar shows this pretty quiet scene on the radar right now. We got these little patches of what in some instances have been freezing drizzle. In some cases they've been flurries. They're changing a little bit as they drop from north to south, but overall pretty minimal amounts of moisture. So we're not expecting big issues, but just this low layer of clouds is producing just enough to be pesky and put a little sheen on some roads. But Dodge traffic moving along great, 72nd traffic moving along great aside from any construction cones. 29 degrees and light winds right now. But with the clouds around and the moisture, it's something we got to watch for moving through. Upper 20s, lower 30s as of right now. These numbers, unfortunately, again, today, not going to move a ton as we'll warm maybe 3, 4, 5 degrees grand total before the end of the day. If the clouds move out a little earlier than I anticipate, then we could tack on a couple more degrees. But right now we'll go 34 for the high and then fall off little by little into the evening hours. The potential moisture out of anything today is minimal. I have all these numbers rounded to the nearest tenth. I usually show it when it's a larger amount of moisture. Yeah, it's pretty minimal. We're talking 100th, maybe 200ths of an inch of moisture. That's why I'm not overly concerned about slick spots. And then into the afternoon, they should melt if there's going to be any. 56 then on Thursday. That's over 20 degrees above average for this time of year. And you can see 40s through Saturday, 52 on Sunday, and pretty mild into the middle of February. Let me show you where the cold air is going to be. It's mostly parked to the east. Another blast of it by the weekend heads towards the New England states. We stay on the warmer side of the dividing line here, and that keeps us in the milder air through the weekend into Monday and still into Tuesday as well. And never fully getting a plunge of colder air in here at any point through next week, the way things are looking. So 10-day forecast shows some very, very nice weather. 49 on Friday's been trending up. I did trend down a little bit on Saturday and up a little bit on Sunday with the latest forecast numbers here. So very, very enjoyable weather after today. And today is about where we should be this time of year. So nothing atrociously cold, it looks like, for a little while anyway.
Yeah, and we're going to get to be really where we shouldn't be, but in a good way, going up in temperature throughout the rest of the week.
Yeah, something to watch. The record high potential early next week. 63 is the record high on Monday, and we're up near 60 on February 9th. So we're going to keep the numbers going up with 40s and 50s most of next week. And any snowfall through this entire stretch staying for the most part up to our north. We'll see if this system by middle of next week tries to trend a little further south, but right now not looking to be the case. A lot of mild air, but you notice every day we move that milder air a little farther east, the colder air takes over to the west. That's a pattern change, and I think that could mean more opportunities for rain and snow for the second half of February. So something to watch. Pretty dry first half, the way things shaping up though.
Okay, all right, let's switch to traffic now. Getting an update about a crash you've been following and how the rest of the metro is looking.
Yeah, we've been watching some of these very patchy areas of some drizzle that have been showing up. So I wanted to give you a view of what things look like throughout the metro. And so you've got top left is Dodge around 72nd. You've got top right being Midtown. The bottom left is around Waterloo on Highway 275. And then this bottom right one is 144th and Dodge. And you're seeing things are moving in decent shape out there. Just a couple of areas where you want to watch for maybe a few slick spots, particularly you get on some of those bridges, you know, some of that sheen that's showing up there on 275. Just that's the sort of thing that you want to be aware of as you're heading out and about with this situation. You can see even where we were looking at the visibility reductions being a little more widespread not too long ago, those have gotten even a little more isolated. So hopefully a sign that we aren't looking at much in the way of any kind of issues, but just having some extra caution, never going to be a bad idea idea on these sort of mornings with the temperature being below freezing. As we mentioned, we do still have that crash 132nd in here, so you can see westbound that we are looking at delays still showing up quite a bit back to Giles. Continue to add some extra time if you're going to be driving into that area. And there you can see with the temperature overlays how things are moving. A little slow on some of our roads, but not terrible. We aren't seeing any big backups showing up aside from what I just said about Harrison there. We take the temperatures off. A little slow here on 370 as you're getting near the JFK eastbound, but this is a pretty agreeable start to the commute. Hopefully we can hold on to this kind of start and keep any kind of bigger issues at bay. Unlike what we had at times yesterday as we went through the course of the day, to avoid any of those bigger crashes, it'll definitely help us out for the morning drive, Aaron.
All right, Jared, thank you very much. New this morning, police in Atlantic, Iowa say they're aware of an incident involving a school staff member and students. In a post to Facebook, APD says they have been looking into the information that has been provided to them. They've been assisted in their investigation by the Cass County Sheriff's Office. No other details have been released so far. If you think you have information about this incident, though, you're urged to call the Atlantic Police Department. The number there is on your screen. Well, Sarpy County is starting work on a new home for the 911 center. The county is renovating an old bank near the courthouse on South Washington and Highway 370. Emergency dispatchers have worked out of the basement of the county's administrative building since the 90s. Officials say the new space will make future growth more smooth and help to modernize this new space. The new center is expected to open early on next year. Well, new Best in Show crown. Find out which dog took home the top prize at the prestigious Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show when we come back. Well, Penny the Doberman Pinscher was named Best in Show at this year's Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show.
Yeah, emerging from the working group, Penny beat out nearly 2,500 other canines, and they were spread across 7 different groups, and there were more than 200 breeds. She's the 42nd female and 5th Doberman to win the top prize at Westminster. Look at her go.
She's doing well. Do you think we could ever train our dogs to do that, Rusty?
Highly doubt.
I always wonder, right, if maybe if I really sat down and tried how far they could get.
It would take a lot of treats, so and then our dog would probably just be overweight by the end.
It's funny, people say different things about different breeds. When you see the bulldog, though, up in these categories, do you kind of think, oh, maybe they could?
Well, yeah, I think one year, whatever the dog show is right after Thanksgiving, or right after the parade on Thanksgiving, Bulldog won that within the last 5 years. What about your dog?
What, could I train them?
Yeah, you think it'd work?
Well, they're not, just one breed, so it's the combination, obviously, of two. I don't know how that would work out, but I don't know. Yeah.
It'd be fun to
We'll
try.
make our own, right?
Maybe like the obstacle course one instead.
There you go.
Yeah,
That'd
yeah,
be good.
Yeah. But yeah,
A lot of energy.
not getting distracted by everybody. I don't know about that. Okay, time now for our First Load 6 team to prep for our update during the Today Show. We'll give you a bird's eye view as we work. You can watch that here or over the air. Have a great start to your Wednesday.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
The time now 7:26 on this Wednesday morning. It is great to have you with us. I'm Erin Hartley. We're joined now by Jarrett Lansford, who is here now to talk about a brand new crash.
And this is on the ramp from Giles to go to westbound I-80. And you can see how things are just kind of in general slow in this area on Giles. But as you make your way along that ramp, you want to use some extra caution. That crash just came out. So you want to watch for that developing situation there. Not far away from there, we've been tracking a crash at 132nd and Harrison. It's still looking at delays there with emergency crews on hand. So add some time if you're planning to drive in that area as well. The overall view of the commute shows that we're starting to slow down a fair bit on a number of our roads. JFK as you're approaching Childs. You've got Dodge eastbound around 180th, also quite slow. Blair High as you're approaching 680, and also some delays on sections of 370 and Center. So be mindful that may take you a little longer to get where you need to go. Rusty.
Thanks, Jared. We're keeping an eye on some moisture in the air. It's low-level moisture from the layer of clouds that we have. You can see the better odds for snow have dropped down into Kansas, but there's been some flurries, some patchy freezing drizzle from all these little specks you see on the map. Sometimes they get tricked and can't quite figure out what it is falling from the sky, but there's a little moisture hanging in the low levels of the atmosphere, and that may be why you see a sheen on some of the roads. Likely not enough to cause huge widespread problems, but there could be a couple of slick spots because temperatures are upper 20s and lower 30s right now. Wind gust forecast goes to about 20 miles per hour around lunch. And that'll keep our wind chills in the 20s as we're only able to muster about 34 degrees with quite a few clouds today. Aaron?
Well, police in Atlantic, Iowa say they are aware of an incident involving a school staff member and students. APD says they have been looking into this information that has been provided to them. They've been assisted in their investigation by the Cass County Sheriff's Office. No other details have yet been released. The time now 7:28. Back here in about 25 minutes with another update.